Part 2 of this 3-part series on the Robinson Pass features the southern ascent from Hachelkraal to the summit. If you've not driven this pass before, we recommend watching Part 1 first, which is a 3D animation overview and orientation video. The first pass over the Outeniqua Mountains was of course the Montague Pass, several kilometers further to the east. But the residents of Mossel Bay found this a rather tedious and long round trip. They wanted a pass with a more direct link to Oudtshoorn. Several attempts were made along the old Reutersbosch road, but they failed dismally. Soon after the start, the road enters the first dangerous bend, which has a speed restriction of 40 km per hour. This is a full hairpin bend and rotates through 170 degrees. This new southerly heading doesn't last long, as the road rotates back into the north via a 100-degree left-hand bend. Going back in history again, the local government sent Thomas Bain to cast his experienced eye over the terrain. He had just completed Prince Alfred's Pass north of Knysna and used parts of both the Reutersbosch road as well as the Attequaskloof road to build a feasible road over the mountains. It was opened in 1869 and then rebuilt and rerouted between 1958 and 1963, making it a much kinder pass to travel, but in the process losing some of its dramatic charm and allure. The new pass was named after the Commissioner of Roads in the Cape at the time, Mr. M.C. Robinson. Once the road straightens out, it continues to ascend for another 1.5 kilometers, where there is a view site on the left-hand side of the road. There are 2 memorials erected here, one for a Dutch lady who lost her life on the spot in a bus accident, and the taller memorial is for a group of South African police officers who also died here in a motor accident. If you like hiking, there's a 6-hour trail called the Coma Circuit, which starts at the summit. You need to be fairly fit to tackle this route. Permits are available at the 8 Bells Mountain Inn. As the road gains altitude, the views become impressive, with fynbos-clad mountains stretching away towards the west. The road continues to climb steadily, but not too steeply, as it reaches towards the craggy rock faces closer to the summit. On the right-hand side of the road, a network of jeep tracks crisscross the hills, which are commercial forestry plantations and are managed from the village lower down called Reutersbosch. None of these tracks are open to the public. When the original road was hewn out of the mountain in 1869, the pass was known at the time as the Reutersbosch Pass. Certain other references refer to the area as Brandwachhoogte. This translates into Fireguard Heights, as this region has always been prone to forest fires. Coming up on the left is the second view site on the ascent, which is a worthwhile place to stop. This view site, which comes up at the 8.8 kilometer point, has an altitude of 785 meters. It faces due south, and the views from here are enormous, and on a clear day they stretch from Grootbrak in the east all the way to Mossel Bay, Herbertsdale and Vleesbaai in the west. The conical and jagged peaks of the Outeniquas and Langeberg Mountains stand sentinel in a mass of peaks fading into blues and greys towards the west. Like many of the other myriad passes in this beautiful part of the world, it too began as a bridle path over the Outeniqua Mountains and was adapted by Thomas Bain as one of the 26 passes he was to build, and it was later tarred during the 1950s. The tarring also saw a realignment of the pass, and most of Bain's original route was discarded in an effort to keep the gradients lower. The spacious third view site is located on the right-hand side of the road and includes a small waterfall. If you're fortunate enough to drive the pass after or even during rain, you'll see a lot of water tumbling out of the mountain about 0.5 kilometer before the summit. We filmed this waterlogged rock face during our first attempt at filming the pass, but the rest of the footage had to be discarded. We've included a short clip showing the small waterfall 2 days after the rain, followed by the waterfall in full spate. After the waterfall, there are another 6 bends to negotiate, including a full horseshoe about 500 meters before the summit. On the outside corner of the horseshoe is the final opportunity to stop and enjoy the amazing views. The pass falls right in the heart of a wonderful part of the Little Karoo and the Garden Route. The valley itself is well worth further exploration, as it holds an enclave of little farms, guest houses, art galleries and the like. The hiking trail known as the Coma Circuit begins at the summit of the Robinson Pass, is fairly long and includes some pretty steep climbs, but the 6 hours that you'll spend in the valley are well worth the effort. Ahead and to the left-hand side of the road, a clear horizontal line can be seen cut across the mountain slope at the same altitude as the summit. This is the hiking trail referred to earlier. The summit is reached at a deep cutting 11.2 kilometers from the start at an elevation of 867 meters above sea level. Be sure to watch the third and final video in this series, which deals with the northern descent.